On today's episode of the Fumblerooski podcast, it's Combine Week. Biggest stories going into Combine Week in terms of prospects. Well, more so in terms of who's actually in the league and who could potentially be on the move. Titans have already made a trade with the Jets. We'll talk about it here on the Fumblerooski podcast.
It may not have always showed it in the stat sheet, but you can see him making throws when he needs to make the throws.
Back-to-back games where he has 3 touchdowns. Someone's got to get that 6 or 7 spot.
He's an elite wide receiver as a rookie.
Truly a lose-lose scenario for both sides.
Welcome to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio and Secret Weapon Consulting. We got CJ Medeiros and we got myself, Chris Costich, for you today. It's Combine Week. That's obviously we kind of surprised ourselves with it on Monday or Tuesday, I should say. But, you know, obviously the big talking point is who's going to impress the most in terms of draft prospects for this week. But, of course, the other thing is just general NFL storylines altogether. And, well, there's a lot of them, to say the least. But I guess quickly on the draft prospects. Today was remind me, it was D-line. I think
it's like front 7 guys, yeah.
D-line, linebackers, and place kickers.
Yeah, so front 7 guys and kickers.
Yeah. We're recording this on Thursday, just before 4. So Combine started up at 3 Eastern time, pretty sure. I don't know. I'm terrible at keeping track. But you were saying there's someone with short arms again.
2 guys with short arms,
Two guys with short arms. Shit.
So I'm just going to say it. As the resident draft guy, I have authority here, so yippee. 2 of the top edge rushers in this year's class, Miami's Ruben Bain Jr. and Texas A&M's Cassius Howell, have really, really short arms. For reference, they both are projected to go in the first round. And for me, they're both in my top 5 edge rushers for the draft. So I cannot stress this enough. How short are their arms, you may ask me? This is like, we're in historic territory, by the way. Ruben Bain Jr., edge rusher, once again out of Miami, his arm length is 30 7/8 of an inch. Cassius Howell is, out of Texas A&M, is 30 1/4 inches. So I would like to say this real quick. Just how bad is it, you may ask? Cassius Howell is the 3rd smallest arm length for an edge rusher, and Bain Jr. is tied for the 4th shortest. If they both go in the first round, they would have the shortest arms since 1999. Literally before some NFL teams, like the Houston Texans even existed. So yeah, so there has not been players with arms this short, or at least on the defensive side of the ball, in a millennium.
And what was,
this millennium, I mean.
What'd you say the measurements were again?
Cassius Howell, 30 1/4. Bain, 30 7/8.
So to give you an idea, the average arm span for and CJ, I'm more or less just saying this for the listeners because I'm assuming you know this, or maybe you don't.
Yeah, no, you got to say it's the job.
The average arm length for edge rushers and just defensive linemen in general is about 33.5 inches. That's 3 inches less. Like, Jesus Christ.
And don't get me wrong, like I like these guys. Ruben Bain's actually my number 1 in my edge rusher prospect rankings because he's just a gamer. You know what I mean? Like I love Ruben Bain. He's saying stuff like, I don't know if you've seen like his interviews. Have you by any chance seen?
I've not.
His combine interviews have just been immaculate. And people are already saying that he doesn't really have it. People are noting that his hair is not done up in any special way. He doesn't have any flashy jewelry. Dude's just there for the love of the game. He is no flash, but he is all substance. In fact, former NFL player Devin Walker was talking about Ruben Bain, said NFL Combine Week, my guy got no haircut, line, nothing. 14-time All-Pro on the way. Draft him number 1. And I gotta agree, man. Ruben Bain said, quote, I eat, sleep, and breathe football. I have no hobbies. That's just that killer mentality. And we saw him at the U. Cassius Howell has been one of the risers as well, with most mock drafts I see having him in the first round. And for what it's worth, I do think both of them end up going.
Yeah. I mean, do you
The
think
history could be made.
do you think that the Will Campbell saga of him having T-Rex arms is going to, because it didn't affect Will Campbell's draft stock.
It really didn't.
His draft.
Didn't
So
really even affect his play until he got hurt. Like,
Yeah.
that became really apparent once he got hurt. But as far as like if that affects it, honestly, I'm gonna say yeah. I think it does. Maybe it's an easy cop-out answer, but there was never this much worry of players' arm length until Will Campbell. I mean, maybe you kind of saw it with Peter Skoronski, but Campbell, that was like the talk of the draft. And it got really stupid, really fast. And now you're starting to see it matriculate its way to the defensive side of the ball. Whole other planet, essentially. So, yeah, we might have just started here. For a lineman, people who obsess over arm length, this is offense or defense, are the same people that said Joe Burrow's hands were too small for him to play quarterback in the NFL. And yet here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to see if, that, like, if it does end up affecting them, especially because, when you look at Will Campbell and his performance in the Super Bowl, it was pretty piss poor.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, and as someone who has criticized Campbell a lot, even I can say he was hurt. Like, he was playing through a torn ligament. I don't know what, but either way.
Yeah. And, like, also, too, I think in terms of, since we're on the topic of edge rushers, it's there's different types of these edge rushers. You got the power guys and you got the finesse guys. And then you got the guys that can do both. And I guess that's what we're going to find out here of what kind of edge rushers they can be or are and how the arm length is going to affect that. Because if it's a power rushing guy and he's got some beef to him, and I'm just speaking generally, I'm not speaking on anyone specific. If he's got some beef to him and he's got a lot of power, then he can get a lot of knockback going. And that's a whole other thing. If he's a finesse guy and can blow right by an offensive tackle, that's great too. But if he can't do either of those, then yeah, the short arms are going to be a fucking problem because he's just going to get manhandled.
My personal opinion on this matter is I think this is going to impact Cassius Howell far more than it affects Ruben Bain, because the guy you said had some power to him, that's Ruben Bain. He is just a vicious, powerful, like well-built edge rusher. Cassius Howell is more of he does have some power to him, I'll grant him that, but he's mostly like a speed and finesse rusher as well. He wins mostly on technique. Bain wins. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not underselling Bain's technique at all. It is immaculate, but for the most part, it is his power. So Bain, I think, will go in the top 10, probably top 5. I don't know. This is a very weird draft to predict. Howell, though, this could really hurt him. He might actually, because already I said he was rising. I don't think I've ever seen him go higher than 20. So this could theoretically knock him out of the first round.
Yeah. Like I said, if you got a guy that can get some knockback, then I think your problems about short arms are maybe weak, but who knows? All right. Anything else you want to touch on in terms of actual draft prospects? I mean, obviously not a ton to go off of at the moment, but might be some.
Not really, but just for the general populace, for the love of God, stop being swayed by Fast 40 times, I beg of you.
Yeah.
I mean, they're important, but John Ross, anyone?
True. We'll be able to do more of a in-depth full breakdown of the combine on Tuesday, but that's there's a couple stories to look at right there. Did you see Dan Orlovsky doesn't have Fernando Mendoza going number 1?
Yeah, I did see that. And you know what? Just Dan Orlovsky, man. That's all. You see, the thing is, especially in the mock draft business, you got to be different. You have to say, this is going to happen and here's why. That's what it is. It's Dan Orlovsky. That's all. And you know what? I can sleep peacefully at night knowing that whenever he says something stupid, every GIF in the comments will just be of him running out of bounds from his Lions time. God bless.
God bless. All right. With that, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into more general NFL news that has come out basically since Tuesday. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
It may not have always showed it in the stat sheet, but you can see him making throws when he needs to make the throws.
Back-to-back games where he has 3 touchdowns. Someone's got to get that 6 or 7 spot.
He's an elite wide receiver as a rookie.
Truly a lose-lose scenario for both sides.
All right, general NFL news. There's a lot to go over. We'll try to get through this somewhat quickly. Probably won't. We'll see what happens. Well, we have to kind of get through it quickly just because of my schedule. But we'll start with the news. Well, there's a couple things that just came out within the last couple hours of us recording or before us recording. This being one of them. Colts and Anthony Richardson agreed to seek out a trade. This is one of the few stories that we're going to go over today that relate to trades or potential trades. And really, the writing on the wall with Anthony Richardson was there already. I mean, you have a guy that, beautiful deep ball, but his accuracy is shit. He's more of a running back, this and that. And then he pulls himself off for a play, which you don't do as a quarterback.
You would know you are a quarterback.
Like I said it last year, as soon as he did that, I said he should never play a snap in the NFL again. And granted, was I harsh? Maybe. But at the same time,
How often does it happen?
It never happens. That's the thing. Like it never like quarterbacks literally have to be dragged off the field half the time to be like pulled off to be if they're hurt. And what, like, I just got done watching the John Elway documentary on Netflix, and it's like that's a guy that you literally had to drag off the field in order to to save him, essentially, especially later in his career. So, and you can also say that maybe Shane Steichen wasn't using Richardson correctly, and the fact that literally all they did was run him, so that's why he had to take a play off, which still, like I said, bullshit. But in terms of Anthony Richardson, this has been this hasn't been a great situation for him. Does he deserve a reset? Sure. But in the back of my mind, I'm still going to remember him as the quarterback that took a play off because he was tired.
I want to take us back to 2023. Do you remember what I said? I said Anthony Richardson should not be taken this high. I said he was the pure definition of a project quarterback. Even his college tape did not suggest he's worthy of going in the first round. And unless the Colts do everything right, like everything is to go right, he's gonna flop. And look
CJ,
what happened.
Not to cut you off, like I'm a casual college football watcher, I hadn't seen Anthony Richardson play all that much, and literally all you have to do is look at Florida's season from that year, and you would know that he wasn't even close to being a first round guy.
Exactly. Nothing in his stats, nothing in his tape, nothing in the way the Florida offense looked would suggest he's first round. But, he's tall, he's fast, and he has a rocket arm. He was literally the quintessential definition of a project. He was just Joe Milton with better PR, essentially. And that's what happened. And I said, I don't think Indy was a good place for him to go. And, well, I'd like my Right Again award, please. You can just send that to my address, which I can't say here, but imagine if I did, just for the lulz.
Hmm.
So yeah, this isn't shocking to me. I don't think he's a starting caliber quarterback. I honestly, even if you have to start him, let's just say 4 games as a backup, I think best case scenario, you're going 1-3. He can't even stay healthy either. So if your starting quarterback does go down, you're probably going to need to invest in a good third stringer if he's your number 2.
Even when he doesn't play, he gets hurt.
Yeah, that orbital bone thing, that was weird. All jokes aside, that's scary. I do hope he heals up well. And I think, do you want to know what I think Anthony Richardson's future in the league is? Taysom Hill on steroids. Because Richardson's a big dude and he's fast and he's strong. Get him out there in a jumbo formation. Let him be like a glorified fullback. Use him as like a 4th string tight end. Use him as a run specialist on the goal line. Damn, imagine a tush push with that monster. Oh, and you know what? If it's Hail Mary time, just let him fucking sling it. Like I think there is a future for him, but I see him like we see Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can agree with that. All right. Moving on to the next topic. The Titans and the Jets get involved in the trade. T'Vondre Sweat is heading to New York. In return, Jermaine Johnson is heading to the Titans.
This is what, if you've ever played Madden, this is one of those trades, that you just see like in the background of your simulated world. We're just like, that happens. Like you it's like the year's like 2031 in your franchise, and that's just like a background blurb. That's what this is. Jermaine Johnson, obviously first round pick out of Florida State for the Jets back in 2022. He's very good, I think, but he just hasn't been able to put it all together. He gets dinged up quite a bit. And last season, he started 13 games, played in 14, had 43 total tackles and 3 sacks, 6 QB hits. Like, I think he's only got 1 forced fumble on his career. So, maybe he just needs a fresh start. It is worth noting that his best season was with Robert Saleh. So, so now he's with the Titans. Maybe that could work. But on the other side for the Jets, they're bringing in the big man, T'Vondre Sweat from the Titans, 6'4", 360 some odd pounds, just absolute monster in the run stuffing world. So that's really what you're going to be getting. The pass rush bag is like non-existent. The ability to get to the quarterback isn't there. I think across 2 years, he has 6 total QB hits. He's got 3 total sacks, but you're getting him for the run stuffing ability. And believe you me, the Jets need the run stuffing ability. The only issue that I think people have with Sweat is his conditioning. He's not an every down type of player. Remember when the Eagles drafted Jordan Davis and people had issues with his conditioning? But those didn't come to fruition as Davis is on the field a lot. That actually manifested itself in T'Vondre Sweat. But I think he can be good with the right team. I also don't think the Jets are the right team.
No, I mean, the Jets, I would argue that T'Vondre Sweat is the better guy here, but
oh yeah, at this point.
So you could say the Jets won the trade, but you also brought up the fact that Jermaine Johnson is essentially a solid guy. So
Titans should win if Johnson can stay healthy.
Yeah. I like it.
The ceiling's higher,
Yeah. Other trade news. Well, there's a update on Tua. Nobody wants him, apparently. There was a anonymous NFL executive that I don't have the quote up right now, but it was some harsh words said about Tua. Nobody wants him. And same thing, kind of similar thing with Tyreek Hill as well. Like there was one guy that said they wouldn't even touch him with a 10-foot pole. But we can touch on Tyreek after. But in terms of Tua, I mean, nobody wants to touch his contract, and it's seemingly like more and more that that Tua is just going to get cut, and the Dolphins are just going to have to eat a fuck ton of money.
Yeah, even off of his insane career year, we all knew he wasn't worth the money because Tua was very much a guy who was a product of the weapons around him rather than him elevating the team. And that has obviously come to fruition. And in 2026, his cap hit is $56 million. And, there were rumors that Miami would be willing to eat like half of that in a trade, but it's just not going to happen. Also, on top of that, right? On top of him being mid and on top of him being too expensive to just be mid, he's injury prone. Like every year he keeps getting hurt, and sometimes it's just concussion stacked on top of each other, which, dude, you've got so much money in the bank already, man. Just retire for the love of your family. But yeah, that doesn't shock me. Apparently most teams around the league are just waiting for him to get cut. He might do a Russell Wilson thing where after he successfully fleeces an organization, he gets cut and signed somewhere for dirt cheap. And as for Tyreek Hill, yeah, his knee exploded. There's structural damage. There's ligaments blown. And you got to remember, his whole game is speed. He's not the best route runner. He's not the best contested catch guy. His game is speed, and he's already on the wrong side of 30. So low key, this could be the end. I don't think it is, but it could very well be.
Yeah. And that's the shitty part with the Dolphins now is that you have two choices. You either cut him or play him, and you really don't want to play him. Yeah, it's wild
Apparently
news out of
some
Miami.
people. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. I was going to say,
Okay.
apparently there are some people that actually don't expect Hill to even play this year.
Yeah, not surprising. That I think that was part of the quote that I was thinking of in terms of Tyreek Hill. That was a scathing quote, to say the least. I mean,
Oh yeah,
for good reason. Tyreek's kind of a shithead. But in terms of some other potential trades or cuts, Trent Williams now in a contract dispute with the 49ers. Big thing really is that the Niners are trying to restructure Williams' contract, and he is having none of it. So there's a very real chance that Trent Williams is on the move sometime soon.
Honestly, I can see that. Now you got to realize he's old as far as as far as NFL players go. He was drafted in 2010. Yeah, that was his draft. But don't get me wrong, the accolades speak for themselves. He is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, one of the best tackles of all time. Yeah. He's been in the NFL, if you don't count that one injury year, for 15 years. And he has started 203 games, and credit where it's due, that's very good. But he's kind of been dinged up as of late, especially 2024, where he only played 10 games. It's starting to become like he's going to miss a game here, miss a game there, and they're starting to snowball, Last year, he only missed one game, but then the year before that, like I said, we missed like 7, and then 2, then 3. It's like he's not that 17-game guy anymore. And honestly, for the Niners, don't get me wrong, he's good, but a $39 million cap hit for a guy who's this old, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. He's 38. I mean, that's the thing, though, is you mentioned the age, but Trent Williams is still a fun motherfucker to watch block.
Yeah. When he's trying, there have been a few times this season where if you've tuned in to watch the Niners, dude will just, every so often, he will just actually take a play off.
Yeah, you can't really have that as left tackle.
I mean, you've seen it.
I don't know if I have, actually.
Huh?
I don't know if I have, actually.
I mean, I've seen it at least once or twice. I mean, it was Trent Williams, they let it slide, but I don't know. He's 37. So it gets to a point where it's all right, dude, 39 mil. Why? Why won't you restructure? You're still going to get your money just later.
Yeah. Yeah. How many? Oh, excuse me. How many years does he have left on this contract? Oh, he has 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, just dude, restructure. You're literally just going to get it next year. So come on.
Yeah. 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 I mean, they could just. I mean, I guess the other thing too is that the Niners still have 25 mil in cap space, though.
Yeah. Well,
Which that
Chris, what's my rule? You never have as much cap space as you think you do.
and the Niners have 7 guys over the roster limit.
Yeah, well, they should probably do something about that.
Yeah. So I feel like that you could definitely easily get rid of some contracts without getting rid of Trent Williams, but at the same time, like, you're probably going to be looking to depart from him at some point here. And you don't really want to kick the can down the road for another season, especially if you're trying to get younger at the same time.
Yeah.
In terms of other trade rumors, the CJ Stroud trade rumors squashed, rubbed out, erased. I think it was Nick Caserio. You can correct me on that if you can, but I think it was Nick Caserio that came out and said all those trade rumors, throw it out the window. They're not real. They are fugazi.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Like, but I want to say this. I mean, maybe it's one of those things where they say one thing for like misdirection, which I totally get. You need a smoke screen, but just look into it is all I'm saying. And I hate these bastard Texans fans that have been saying things like, "Oh, the CJ Stroud hate, man. That's just recency bias." It's that's a word that's been thrown around here. Recency bias. No, it's called he's been regressing for the past 2 seasons, and it's pretty fucking obvious bias. If you are willing to look me in the eye and tell me that he is the same player and just as good as his rookie season, then I have some beautiful beachfront property in Wyoming I'd like to sell you.
I guess that's the other thing.
Is it really
though,
recency bias if we can see it with our own eyes, though? There were problems last year, too.
Yeah. No, that's the other thing is like, we've seen what he can do. And yeah, he's regressed. Is that a CJ Stroud problem or is it a Houston Texans problem? Because, Bobby Sloak was the OC and he was really good that rookie season. And all of a sudden he's gone. Now they were having problems, starting to have problems while Sloak was still the OC. But when you also look at what's around him, Houston's receivers have also had a hard time staying healthy. Stephon Diggs last season, or not this past season, in 24, tore his ACL. Tank Dell missed this entire season because of an insane injury that nobody could ever fathom. Nico Collins has been in and out of the lineup. Christian Kirk is also another guy that's a little injury prone. Like, which is funny enough, considering that Christian Kirk was the most consistent guy to stay in the lineup.
Yeah, but you have to realize they also did a lot to remedy this. Woody Marks emerged as a solid running back, and they drafted Higgins and Knoll from Iowa State.
Yeah.
So, like, they've tried, and they've even improved the offensive line. I mean, look, I'll give you his sophomore year. It was bad. But this time they at least brought it to around average, Like, it gets to a point where I'm just saying, like, trade rumors getting squashed or not, but to call the CJ Stroud bashing recency bias is laughably uneducated. And the people that say, well, it's just recency bias, like, just don't even watch football. You're unworthy.
I see it as half and half, personally. Like, sure, it could be recency bias, but, like, the writing's still on the wall. Like, you essentially have to give CJ Stroud one more year, and that's And now you have your opinion about CJ Stroud at this point.
I do have a question though. So this was obviously his 3rd year in the league. It's time for Houston to make a decision. Chris, play GM. You're Nick Caserio. Do you pick up his 5th year option? Hey, look, I'm not gonna lie. Even though I just said some pretty heinous stuff, I can see both sides.
I say yes. Evidently, I say yes.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, fair enough. I get that. So you would give him 2 more years, and if he's still looking like this, I'm sorry, then you can't justify an extension. You
No,
just can't. In a league where anybody who can hold a clipboard can get a 9-figure contract, I just don't think CJ Stroud should be getting that.
no.
Especially when you have to pay Will Anderson.
Yep.
Just saying.
Just saying. In terms of some Patriots news, Elliot Wolf reportedly non-committal about Stephon Diggs and Christian Barmore. Of course, they're in the news for some legal troubles. Stephon Diggs is currently in a court case in terms of beating the fuck out of, allegedly beating the fuck out of his personal chef. And that trial is going on in March. I forget what the exact date for that is. And same thing with Christian Barmore. And that's more or less a domestic case, correct?
Yes, it is.
So, not talking legal shit, but we've kind of had this discussion before, more so with Diggs, in the sense of like, the Patriots are in this weird spot right now where, they finally bring in a wide receiver one. Now, Diggs, throughout this entire season, for a lot of the bigger games like the Ravens, the Bills, he showed up, but barely cracked 1,000 yards. And yeah, he was one of the only guys that was over 500 receiving yards, period, on the year. And this is the first true wide receiver one that you've had, if we're not counting Edelman, basically since Moss.
Brandon Cooks.
And Brandon Cooks, yeah. And that's been one of the biggest jabs at the Patriots since the turn of the decade, or even before, even Brady's final year. Like, they didn't really have a true wide receiver one, and that was a huge reason why Brady even left to begin with, because his weapons sucked. And now they tried in 2019. They had AB, they had Josh Gordon, but
Draft N'Keal Harry, trade for Mohamed Sanu. I mean, that was just a horrible situation. They just got a really shitty roll of the dice, honestly.
Yeah. And now you're in the spot where Diggs puts up 1,000 yards, which is great, but he was also inconsistent as a motherfucker. And now you have these legal troubles coming in, and it's like, shit, we got another wide receiver that can't stay out of trouble. And yeah, he's a diva, but sometimes you like your wide receiver one to be a bit of a diva. There's nothing terrible with that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes one way or another. But
it's okay to look. In a world of Stephon Diggses, you can't be a Tyreek Hill. I will leave that there.
Yeah. But it's like, how long can you go with having Stephon? Because like I said, cracked 1,000 yards, but incredibly inconsistent, was almost a no-show for the playoffs, including the Super Bowl. And essentially, not that you have the same thing in Christian Barmore, but there's some problems here. There's some problems.
As a fan, I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's all. I love these guys. Honestly, this might be a hot take. I would be more torn up about losing Barmore, honestly, than I would Diggs. Because look, I know that you have to get off the wide receiver carousel at some point, but I don't know, maybe take a swing at someone in the draft, trade for AJ Brown. That's an option. Apparently the Pats and the Eagles have been talking about that.
That's like, but CJ, that's basically the only path though at a wide receiver one is AJ, because they're not going to take another swing in the draft. They have to go out and trade for somebody or go out in free agency. Like there's literally no other way for the Patriots at this point, especially with their draft position. Like
Man, you never know. I mean, I'm
Yeah, you
just
never
saying,
know,
like,
but-
I think it's more of an option than you think. But yeah, no, like, I get it. I do. I just,
I'm saying more of where the Patriots are right now, especially considering that they just made a Super Bowl run and now they have the expectations and they need to somehow live up to it.
yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Like I said, if you can if they end up staying out of trouble and nothing happens because of this, I would say keep Barmore. Diggs at least has an out at the end of his deal. And maybe you could argue the Barmore point is just the sunk cost fallacy, but but him and Williams together is just that's nice. Also, there are a lot of drafts that have them, or mock drafts have them taking a defensive tackle in the first round, and I really don't want them to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of alluded to this after the Super Bowl too, or we had a similar discussion after the Super Bowl, and it's like, and I guess I'll say it again. It's great that Diggs cracked 1,000 yards. You had these problems, and like if you do get rid of them and you don't like that, like that's the weird thing about where you're going with this is that if you don't get AJ Brown, you don't get a top guy out of in a trade or in the free agency market, then you're essentially telling yourself that you're relying on Kayshon Boutte or somebody else in that wide receiver room to become the wide receiver one. And like, sure, Boutte's showing some flashes, but like, is it wide receiver one material? Like, that's the thing. You got a bunch of twos and potential high end twos and a bunch of threes on your team. And that's what the Pats have been dealing with literally since 2020.
I would argue before that, but yeah,
before that,
a lot of cases. Like, I don't know. As a fan, can we please have a real wide receiver one by hook or by crook? Can we please have like an actual wide receiver one? Like, I don't understand why even like some of the real horrible teams have them, but we don't. I don't know. I would like one, please. That is all.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Because I don't know.
Ending our general news with a bit more lighthearted. Landon Dickerson announces he will return for another season to the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's huge for them because there were a lot of rumors that just due to his injury history, he was considering retirement. But he is an absolute world beater at guard when he's on the field. So I definitely think Philly's breathing a sigh of relief. And you got Lane Johnson coming back for another go around. So at this point in the draft, I think that's coming up, you can stock up for the future, maybe grab a guard or a tackle in the second round, develop them. So by the time, if Dickerson does decide, okay, this might be my last year, or if Lane Johnson does, then you'll be ready. That's really all there is to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, him staying healthy is going to be big this season because, Nick Sirianni's probably on the hot seat once again, just because it's Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And you've seen the numbers when there's no Landon Dickerson on that O-line. So,
yeah,
they're not good.
Actually,
they're not good.
It's bad. Yeah, you're right. And apparently, the future of Nick Sirianni hinges, per Jason LaCanfora, on the success of Jalen Hurts and new OC Sean Mannion in 2026. No pressure, Nick. No pressure.
No pressure at all. All right. Time for a little immaculate grid to end the show once again. So for our listeners, we got a Eagle and a Viking and a Commie, a Viking that was a first team AP All-Pro, a Patriot and an Eagle, a Patriot and a Commander, Patriot that was first team AP All-Pro, and then a first round draft pick that was AP All-Pro, first round draft pick for a Commander and an Eagle.
All right. Since we're Pats fans, you want to knock this out? Do you want to do? Okay. So Pats Eagles, Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
I know you could go Chris Long or LeGarrette Blount, but let's have some fun.
3%. Off to a great start. Viking. We could have done Jalen Reagor for Vikings Eagles too.
Oh, true. Damn it.
But that's probably the most famous one because Jalen Reagor was drafted ahead of Justin Jefferson.
No, right now you could probably go with Carson Wentz
Ooh, you're right about that. You're right about that.
for Eagles Vikings. I that's too obvious though is the problem. But you
Yeah.
know what? We're low key on a time crunch, so or at least you are. I just got back, so yeah, I can. Honestly, 21's not bad. All right, a
Not bad.
Viking and a Commander. What was Aldrick Robinson ever on the Vikings?
Aldrick Robinson. I'm
The
not
receiver.
sure.
I don't know. I've played a lot of Madden. I'm pretty sure I've seen him there at some point.
I don't know. Well, Pat's Kami. We go Albert Hainsworth.
You could go Dietrich Wise. You could go Jonathan Jones. No. Terrence Knighton didn't actually make the team. Dang it! I thought I was smart, but no, I am not. There was. Yeah, you could. So you could go Hainsworth, you could go Dietrich Wise, you could go Jonathan Jones. Those are your options.
Let's go Jonathan Jones. If I know how to spell his name correctly. 2%. What a ball.
Nice. By the way, I remember it now. Aldrick Robinson was in fact on the Vikings.
All right, so Aldrick. Oh, 0.07.
Thank you, Madden. Thank you for that ball knowledge. Oh my god.
That's good.
0.07. Oh. Okay,
fucking
so
line.
we've got all the teams out of the way. All right, a Viking who was a first team All Pro. There are some really easy polls here, man.
Go Chris Carter, Moss.
Do you want to go Chris Carter? Just shake it up a tiny bit. Wait, he was right.
I don't see why he wouldn't be.
Yeah, true.
3%.
Sweet. A Pat and a first team All Pro. Brady's the obvious answer. Gronk's the obvious answer. Moss. I think Stephon Gilmore was, if you want to try him.
Yeah, no, Gilmore definitely was. I mean, he was defensive player of the year, so he was 100% first team AP All Pro. 4%.
Hey, wow, I'll take it.
Look at this go.
An Eagle who was a first round draft pick.
I mean, just looking at present day, Saquon's one.
But do they have to be drafted by the Eagles, though, is my question.
Ooh, that's
because I think we've been burned on some BS technicality before. Remember? I don't remember what it was. It wasn't quite like this, but
yeah.
I think they had so
it was the one from like 3 episodes ago.
Yeah. I don't know.
Was Brian Donovan McNabb was a first round pick.
Yeah.
That's like
I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go here, obviously.
Yeah, let's just go McNabb. 6%. Wow.
26. Hey, less than 10. That's still good. A Kami who was a first round pick. Ryan Kerrigan. I don't care how obvious it is. No, Ryan. Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
RYAN. Go to name. 1%. I'm sorry. Look, I'm not even a Commanders fan, but from an NFL history standpoint, the Ryan Kerrigan disrespect is evil. It is evil.
I'd say the fact that we've gotten less than 5% on all of these besides 2 is pretty nice.
Yeah.
First round draft pick. That was a first team AP All Pro.
There's so many. You know what? Adrian Peterson, I guess. Wait, was Sean Alexander one? If you really want to get spicy, was Sean Alexander a first round pick?
That's a great question. Should we just send it?
Send it. Yeah, it's the last one. Sean Alexander, legend.
Bang! 0.1%.
Yes. Oh, never. To anyone who listens, never question my ball knowledge ever again. Oh,
40. We got 40 on the rarity. How about that?
And for those of you who don't know at home, the lower your rarity score, the absolute better. And a 40 is elite.
This was the most popular ones. I was correct about Jalen Reagor. I was correct about that.
This is where it really pays to be Pats fans, because imagine pulling out Jalen Reagor for Eagles Pats and And pulling out Jonathan Jones.
Oh, yeah. Jane
Wow.
Daniels was the most obvious. Devonta Smith being the most obvious for the Eagles is interesting, which leads me to believe that we were correct about the about going with an actual Eagle, because
Yeah.
obviously if it's
not Saquon or AJ Brown.
Yep. Peyton Manning, 12%. I mean, there's so many first round draft picks that were first team all pros, so that makes sense. Jetta's the most obvious. Kirk Cousins the most obvious for Commies Vikings.
The fact we got none of these is the most obvious really warms my heart.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah. How about that? I don't want to glaze myself too much, but like that Sean Alexander poll, and the only reason I thought of him is because I was like, okay, who was an MVP that people don't think about? And he wasn't MVP.
Especially because Sean Alexander fizzled out so quickly afterwards.
Yeah, after they gave him that huge deal. That happens a lot with running backs now that I think about it. But, I think we did good.
I'd say we did pretty damn good on that. That was good. Too bad Tuck wasn't here for that.
Oh, yeah. That would have been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's all the scheduled content that we have for you today. A quick one here for us. But like I said, we'll have some more coverage on NFL Combine once everything is pretty much wrapped up, which will be on Tuesday's episode. So we can get into more of the top prospects and how they performed in the Combine. And if we're looking at any potential droppers or risers in the draft. Yeah.
Nice.
But thanks for tuning in to another Friday episode of the Fumblerooski podcast. A new episode on Tuesday at 8 a.m. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and really just anything that you can find podcasts or stream podcasts, period. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram, Fumblerooski_podcast. Keep up with our pod and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we'll see you on Tuesday. Over and out.